What is up, everyone? Matt and Jeff back for a real review, and today is a little bit different. So, not all of us like to do reviews the same way, and this is actually a review for a movie I haven't seen. However, Jeff has seen it, and we still wanted to get coverage for it out there.
And I'm not great at just talking directly to the camera on my own.
So we're testing out something we've talked about for a few weeks, actually a couple months now, because there was 2 other reviews we wanted to try to do this with, but shit came up. And essentially me being very similar to you guys out there, having not seen this, I'm just going to ask him questions about the movie and about his general thoughts and so on and so forth.
You make this sound like it's a really novel concept.
But without further ado, welcome to the first ever real review of in this format, and we're here to talk about Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga. Jeff, how was the movie?
How was the movie? That's what you want. You want to just immediately dive into that. You don't want to be like, "Hey,
general thoughts before we dive deeper into them."
Okay, well, I loved it. It's one of my favorite movies of the year. I think that's a very broad statement to make. Like, you come into there's a lot of hype that's been building a lot, considering the legacy in the last 9 years that Mad Max Fury Road has built up and the general goodwill that it has. And so there's been a lot of excitement for this. And then the trailers, it seems like, general, at least internet speak, people seem to be excited. Anecdotally, it seems like people that aren't necessarily online all the time are really interested in it too. Friends of mine that don't watch a lot of movies and whatnot, they're aware of this and saying that they want to go see it. So the excitement is there, and I think that it's matched by how good of a film this is. I think that those expecting to come in for another Fury Road are going to be disappointed, because that's not what this movie is. It's not what it's trying to be. Fury Road is this massively propulsive action nirvana, basically. It's a straight shot, boom, one way, the other way, just the most intricate, crazy, mind-melting car chase put to film. A feature-length car chase there. This is not that. This is the Odyssey. This, which I've seen elsewhere, so it's not an original thought to say that, but this is the Odyssey. This is this is the journey of Furiosa from a very young age. So up until essentially right where we are about to meet her, in a way. It takes a little some zigs and zags along the way. It's not anything actually that you would expect it to really be. It's a much deeper, sprawling, messier movie that I think is also, it's meaner, it's nastier, it's bloodier, and it's angrier. A lot of these words feel synonymous, but I feel like they're just different enough to all kind of hit a bunch of pegs right on the head. But it's great.
I mean, with a name like Furiosa, I expect it to be bloodier.
What a great name of character! I mean, 9 years since the movie came out, but what a great name for a character, though. Imperator Furiosa.
I mean, let's be honest. George Miller has never been his overarching Mad Max legacy. He never tries to hide names. They're very surface level, and a name normally just means
they're crazy funny stuff.
Yes,
dude, you remember from Mad Max Fury Road, we've seen in the trailers that you're going to see a younger Immortan Joe there.
Yeah.
We do see his son Rictus Erectus, but not only that, but you remember Rictus Erectus from Fury Road. He's I would have had a brother and he was perfect in every way. He has a brother in this movie. His name is Scrotus. So it's awesome.
This movie is a character. Is Scrotus just the guy who the deformed body,
what's that? I don't know. This guy looked like
never heard his name. I'm pretty sure.
No.
Brothers.
No, Scrotus looks like Mikey Day from SNL with a bunch of makeup over his face. Very different.
So like a war boy.
A little different than that. I mean, man, this is a movie where there's a character called Piss Boy. He's a piss boy. I don't know how else to describe it without spoiling the way to how it actually fits in the movie. It's just one of many things where it's You don't necessarily need an explanation, but you see what this means in action. You're like, oh yeah, cool. Because what's really cool about this is, there's the general story that we could talk about. There's performances, all this whatnot, but the actual world building that goes into this sort of thing is astounding. One of the cool things with Mad Max Fury Road in particular, when thinking about the series, this movie is really just like a companion piece to Fury Road. And with Fury Road, this movie is so, laser focused, tunnel vision on moving forward and then backwards. It has a destination. And if you notice throughout everything, all these scenes off in the sidelines, in the backgrounds and whatnot, there's a whole a post-apocalyptic universe that's just out there, and it's just kind of functioning. And this movie is like, all right, cool. What if we show more of that world, how it actually functions? And one of the things that a lot of prequels do wrong is where they're like, oh yeah, we know that you know this person because of where you met them. How are we going to get them to this? And it's just the most rote bullshit you've ever watched. It's like just you're the one that loves that too. It's so funny. Yeah, but it's like, that's exactly it. I mean, it's the difference between saying like, yeah, they happen to like get the plans, and the plans are what happened to be there at the beginning of A New Hope. And that's Rogue One. But it's like there's kind of a lot of other cool stuff going on there that's kind of worth telling, other than just the one brief thing that connects to New Hope.
So it's similar to Thunderdome, where we do get to explore the Wasteland a little bit.
Yes, it's similar in Thunderdome in that we get to explore a lot more of the Wasteland. It's different than Thunderdome in that Thunderdome is fine, and this movie fucking rocks. Okay. George Miller is 80 years old. And yeah, he's doing stuff. He has the energy of like a 25-year-old filmmaker here. This movie feels like he got a blank check from the legacy of Fury Road and was
probably did after that lawsuit.
Yeah, it's just he got to do exactly what he wanted to do. And what he wanted to do was like, let's try and subvert any expectations you have about what this is, while at the same time exceeding the expectations you have by shifting what you actually wanted to see. I think it leaves you kind of like off kilter a bit. You're a little askew because it's not what I thought I was going to get. And I know I keep saying the same exact phrase in a few different ways, but it's like I thought I was going to get more of the action. And this is it is a much slower paced film. In a couple of ways, I think the pacing might actually be a little off. There are many shots in the movie where stuff happens and then it lingers, the shot, but nothing's happening in it. And it feels like there are a lot of shots that feel like maybe like 2 to 3 seconds earlier or something, it could have actually been cut. This movie's 2.5 hours.
So half an hour longer than Fury Road for those paying attention.
Half an hour and a full hour longer, or just like a hair under an hour longer than Mad Max and The Road Warrior. So it's definitely bigger, but it's actually sort of in the way that I feel about like Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes recently, which we haven't really talked about a lot.
You don't need to.
Yeah, I liked it more than you did. But I think that both these movies it's 2.5 hour movie where, although I think Furiosa does it much better, I think that Furiosa either should have had some of these shots shaved a little more, or it should have been even more indulgent and maybe even bloated it more to closer to 3 hours, because this feels like an epic. This feels like this massive thing. We get to see so much in this movie. We get to see the green place, because I mean they show it in the trailer. We get to see the green place. We see a lot of the wasteland. We see the bullet farm, and we get to see Gastown. And there's just so much interesting stuff. And I'm only talking about the world building here. I haven't even spoken about the actual story, which I find to be immensely satisfying and fascinating in this journey of this very young Furiosa and how she came from this safe area of the green place. And by being taken out of there and having to be thrown around from one group of evil people to the next, how it shaped her into the person that we saw that was so strong and single-minded in Fury Road. And it's really cool. And one of the coolest things that also completely threw me was Anya Taylor Joy is great. Elila Brown as an even younger Furiosa is also great, and we don't just see this child actor for like be like, oh yeah, she was good in that one scene. Anya Taylor Joy doesn't show up until an hour into the movie. There's a young. This movie is not about that age Furiosa. It is about Furiosa from the Green Place
to where we find her.
What this movie does so well is it. While it's completely different than Mad Max, it feels almost like the perfect companion piece to it. It's a 1A, 1B. You get a very different thing. It's Alien to Aliens. It's that sort of thing where it's Gremlins to Gremlins 2.
which honestly, I don't know if you've read the interviews from George Miller the past few weeks. Mm-hmm. Kind of makes sense because he admitted that he wrote the script for Furiosa, Fury Road, and then a prequel to Fury Road about what was going
Wasteland.
on in Max's life.
Yeah, that was I think the basis of like the Wasteland, which he had brought up years ago too. So Fury Road wasn't a real script. It was just like I believe it was just like a massive storyboard that he created. This very much there is a lot of dialogue. Anya Taylor Joy says almost none of it. In fact, the person who says the most dialogue, I'd have to say, is Chris Hemsworth. Chris Hemsworth comes in and he takes so many things that like people have been doing in movies lately that are really fun to watch. The unhinged antagonist, the dumb leader, the person who like I don't even know how they're actually in charge, even though then people just follow them, just because a lot of people connect that to how it is in politics, basically. Like the dumbest people are the ones that are in charge. And no matter how many times they fail, people continue to follow them. Also, weird little dudes, sort of like Barry Keoghan in all of his roles. And this is the best Chris Hemsworth has ever been.
I was just about to say, are we leaning more towards like the Ghostbusters 2 Chris Hemsworth, where he was fantastic in that movie and we were all shocked? Or
the trailer made it look like, oh, he looks like he's having fun. And the problem is that when an actor looks like they're having fun, it's a double-edged sword.
Yes. Because
maybe they indulge so much that it's clear they're having fun, but no one else is. You take your Jared Leto's in most things. But in this case, this is one where it is the perfect balance of Hemsworth is having so much fun, and we're having so much fun watching him have so much fun. He is twisted. He is demented. He is Dementus. A moron. He's a moron too. Like he seems to be like this crazy smart schemer and tactician for being like this group of marauders that like to just take over areas, and he just constantly tries to do something. It's like, oh, did it work out? Nah, he fucked it up every time. And people keep following him, and I'm like, man, how do people keep? Oh, yeah, I get it. What's cool about the movie is how it really is just no matter what we see, there's always some form of violence happening on screen, no matter what, even if it's people talking, because you're looking and you're like, well, it's very clear that this person's talking, but they don't have an eye, or this person is here and they don't have, a nose, and this person here is clearly all sorts of fucked up. They have all this machinery on their body, and it shows like all this little stuff shows that no matter how much fun you're having in this universe, you're dwelling with these people who are all in just the worst possible scenario, and you feel it.
Which I would say speaks to what George Miller has said he's all about in his films. He prefers to show, not tell, because by seeing everything on screen, that tells the story itself.
Exactly. We learn more of like the rules of the universe too, but we don't learn enough to be like overly analytical about it. I think we see just enough. We see that the trade from like Morton Jones Citadel to like Gastown or something, they function as partners because it's very clear. The Citadel has water and food, and Gastown has gasoline, so they are able to trade and whatnot. And So we see little bits like that. We don't see more than that. How do they refine it? How are they growing all of it? We just know that it's there because it doesn't matter. We just want to see how the basic functions go because, man, if we get bogged down in the nitty gritty of every single detail, then we're not going to be able to actually experience what's actually happening on screen.
Funny enough, Mad Max Fury does show how they grow that food and everything. Like it's a show, not tell situation.
Exactly.
Having just watched it before this.
So. I think that, so my big issues with the film were just like, I think the pacing was a little bit off. The movie actually is broken up into chapters, and I feel like the chapters could have been broken up even a little more, make it more episodic. Because one of the cool things, and I like this with Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes too, and this is a thing that a lot of epics do, and that is if it feels more episodic, then it feels like you really have been on this journey. You've been on this whole experience from A to B. And I like that approach. I think that it should have actually leaned into it a little more with that little structure, but that's not a huge deal. The only other real issue I have, there's a couple shots every so often where it's like, oh, it feels like that's a little more finished CG. Meanwhile, almost the rest of it is like incredible. People were complaining about how it kind of looked a little bit too digital and whatnot in the trailers. There's a style to it, and the style works. There's that shot of that one person, the little person who pops their head out of the back of the war rig in the trailer, and people are like, that looks like AI, that looks awful. No, that's a real person on a real set there. That's not fake. It's real, and we see a lot more of it there, and it's like, oh no, that's a real thing. So brief cuts from the trailer don't do it justice, just how beautiful this movie looks, which is crazy because it's not filmed by John Seal. It's filmed by Simon Dugan, who does a really great job picking up the where John Seal had left off. The only real other issue I have was there is a plot point though that does happen where it feels like, and this could have actually added in order to make the movie a little longer for that epic pace to really fit. There's a plot point that happens where it's building the importance of something, and this thing happens, and then suddenly it's like, all right, never mind, we're not going to worry about it. It's not actually that important. And it feels like, well, that's a little odd. It feels they made a point to like do this things, and then they kind of shrugged it off. So there's that one little kind of plot hole thing, but it's not nearly important enough to ruin my enjoyment of the movie. Tom Burke also really good here as sort of like a proto Mad Max character type, though he's a guy who comes up along the way and shows Furiosa how to actually be the road warrior that she becomes. Yeah, I just talked a lot.
No. So Jeff, if you're gonna give this film a rating out of 5, what are you giving it? So
I am of the opinion that Mad Max Fury Road is one of the greatest action films of all time.
Modern masterpiece.
Yes, and by being one of the greatest action films of all time, that means it's one of the greatest films of all time. And it's 9 years old. There are movies that are decades older than this that are still up for contention. So I know that, a lot of movies lasting legacies, they are found over time. Mad Max Fury Road to me feels like the kind of film that instantly justified itself to be talked about amongst those conversations.
I'm still talking about to this day.
It's. I always wonder, like, am I being hyperbolic when I say it's that? And I'm not. I don't think I am. I really don't. I try my best not to like lean into all like the film bro things and whatnot, but I really do. I love it so much. I know so many other dudes. That movie is a 5 out of 5, like the 5est of 5s for those. I mean, when it comes down to it, actually giving movies ratings doesn't really matter. It's really hard to just try and give a rating to art, but sometimes it helps our brains. This movie, I don't think it quite matches that lightning in a bottle of Mad Max because we've seen the world before, but we haven't seen it in this depth. We haven't seen it in with this much texture and detail. And the performances are great. And I think that the overall structure is, for the most part, awesome. I really don't have any major problems. Those little things are just what keeps it shy of a 5 for me. I'm going to 4.5 out of 5 on this. It's one of my favorites of the year. I think that it's one of the most entertaining movies I'm going to see all year. Maybe, of the last few years. It is exactly my shit for exactly what I wanted from it, but also for everything it gave me that I didn't know that I wanted.
So I actually do have one more question I want to ask before we get.
Yes, you're right. I did get a T-shirt at the screening.
That's not.
See, I got the T-shirt at the screening. Look at that.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, keep making me jealous. Anyways, so
and a big ass poster.
Something you and I have talked about in the past, that a prequel or a sequel can enhance your viewing of its predecessor, or successor, depending on how you want to look at it. If it's really that good, like a couple years ago with Top Gun Maverick, where we talked about the fact that Maverick actually makes Top Gun even better.
Right.
Does this film do that?
I would say yes. I thought that I said it earlier. I guess I didn't. I was taking a moment to pause. I'm like, I thought I said it did earlier. Yes, 100%. It is the rare kind of prequel story that it enriches the. Is that a word? Enriching.
Yeah. It enriches.
I never say the word out loud, so suddenly I'm like,
enriches, not enriches.
Yeah, it enriches. My brain is on fire today. It enriches what we've already seen. It makes more things that happen in that, with Furiosa's journey in Fury Road, more impactful. It makes it feel more important. Yes, 100 times I do think that this really does a superb job of working as a companion piece. Like I said, I did, because I said it's like a perfect companion.
Yes.
1A, 1B. It's just either side of the record, man. They both, I think, help each other. I think Furiosa supports Fury Road more, of course, because it takes place before. So, yes, I think that it is. If you love Fury Road, you're going to love this. If you didn't love Fury Road, you might still love this because it's so different. For those that are looking for just nonstop action, that's not what this is. I think that this is something different, and ultimately, I think it's better than what I had in my head, even if it's not necessarily as good as Mad Max, because I know I went into it thinking Mad Max is like cream of the crop, top of the top. There's no way that this movie can actually match it 1-to-1. How close can it get? I think that it doesn't quite hit it. I think it's pretty close.
All right. Well, folks, there you have it. The review for Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga. Once again, if you already haven't followed this channel, remember to like and subscribe. Like this video for sure. Comment. Let us know your thoughts if you have seen Furiosa or if you are going to see Furiosa. And also, be sure to check out our sister channel, Watt Gaming. That's right. Go check out Watt Gaming. And also check out our Twitch, which is just twitch.tv/WattRealEnt, as it's spelled up there in the top corner by Just Head. So be sure to check that out. And follow Jeff and I on Twitter, because I will never say X. So our ats are right there at the bottom. And go check out Furiosa this Saturday.
You're doing a great job.
Yeah.
You're a good host.
I nearly said Fury Road like 5 times. No, go check out Furiosa this weekend. I know I don't get to see it until Saturday. I'm excited, very excited. Honestly.
I'm seeing it again on Thursday, opening night.
I hate you.
Paulina's going to be seeing it. I'm very excited for that.
Jeff was watching 2 movies in a year, or the same movie twice in a year. Holy shit!
Second time it'd be happening. I've already seen Hundreds of Beavers twice this year.
Okay. Anyways, folks, signing off. I'm Matt. That's Jeff, and this was another Real Review. We'll see you next time.